Today's lesson is going to be how to make this absolutely adorable baby jacket. It is all worked in one piece, so it does make it easier. It has the button flap on the front here. I obviously need to go and buy some buttons. I'm going to take this with me and match them up. And it's a beautiful ribbed pattern, so it's nice and stretchy. Gives it a beautiful look to it as well. And I'll just flip it over so you can see the back. So as you can see, it's absolutely adorable. I really, really love this pattern. It is written by a fellow Aussie called Cat Wood, and I will put a link in so you can go and find the pattern on her blog. Go and check it out. Please print out the pattern before you start the video because you will need it to go along with the video. Now don't panic if you can't read patterns. I do take it slow and you should be able to follow along, and you might even learn how to read your first pattern. So stay tuned and let's get started. First of all, you want to go and print off the pattern, and what I did was copy and paste it and then printed it out in Microsoft Word just so that I could have the two columns here. You can print it out any way you like. So first of all, I highly recommend just reading through the pattern, because it has some notes here and down here and up the top here, and as you go along it's got some notes as well, so you just want to read those first before you jump ahead. So the introduction says this sweater cardigan is worked in one piece beginning at the right front side. So looking at this picture, the right front side, then a sleeve, then the back, then another sleeve, and then the left front, which is made slightly wider than the right. This is for the overflap to button the sweater cardigan. Then these sleeves are joined, followed by a collar which brings it all in. The sweater cardigan is reversible, so if you prefer the buttons on the opposite side, you can just sew it up the other way. The sleeve cuffs are included in making the sleeve, so that makes it fantastic. The pattern is quite repetitive, so you will get the hang of it in no time. It may be easy to count the double crochet rows of each panel, and then it continues on to tell you how many there is. And this pattern is to fit a newborn to 3 months. Larger size pattern will come later date. Excellent, can't wait for that one. So this is an Australian pattern, but it is written in American terms. So it has got a 4mm crochet hook, which is a US size G or a 6. And in this pattern we are using 8 ply, approximately 150 grams. I use just over 100 grams in mine, but you will need that 150 just to make sure you have enough. And if that's in the US, it's double knit or medium weight. So like I said, it's got US terms used in this cardigan. And your crochet tension should be about medium, and it's for probably a beginner, I would say. I would definitely say that. Following this video and following the pattern, take your time and you will be able to get it. It is fairly easy because it is so repetitive, which is fantastic for you beginners out there. Should take you about 6 hours to make, depending on your crochet speed if you're a newbie or if you're an expert. Now, stitches used, we've got the chain, the single crochet, the double, and working in the back loops only. We've also got single crochet 2 together, shows you how to do that, or tells you how to do that. And your special instructions, unless we're working into a chain, every stitch in this pattern is worked in the back loop of every stitch. And this gives it that wonderful ribbed effect. Makes it quite stretchy, so it can go over a little chubba bubba, or a nappy if you need to get it around a nappy at the bottom there. So what are we saying? Yeah, back loops only, which is fantastic. I think it looks really, really good. Now the chain 3 to turn is the very first stitch of every row, and then when you work into the chain 3, you'll go into the second chain, not the third. This gives it a nice firm edge. So lots of helpful information there in this pattern. It's called Cat's One Piece Wonder, and it was written on the 3rd of May 2011. Love, love, love this pattern. It is so super cute. So let's get started with the pattern. So using a 4mm crochet hook, and some 8-ply yarn, which is double knit or medium weight. You can use any type of yarn you like. Obviously, if it's using thicker yarn, you're going to get a bigger jacket. This one is going to fit a newborn of 3 months. And of course, if you're using thinner yarn, it's going to probably fit a preemie. So you could use 4-ply, Australian 4-ply. I'm not sure what that is in the US terms, but it's quite thin. You use a sort of a 3.5mm hook, I think, for that. So it would look really cute in a preemie size one. So let's put this pattern aside and start with our slip knot. There's so many different ways to do your slip knot, so you make it how you like. I just wrap it twice around my finger, grabbing hold of that piece, keeping tension on this yarn, pulling the left one over and off, wrapping again, grabbing the left one over and off. So first of all, our pattern says chain 41. Now you should know how to do a chain, so you chain 41 and we'll catch up when we've done that. Don't work your chain too tight, otherwise it's going to look funny. So we've done chain 41. Remember to work in the back loop of every stitch unless it is a chain stitch. So this very first row, we're going to go not through the back loop because we won't have a back loop. But from then on, we're going to work in the back loop. So we've done our chain 41. Right front is where we're starting. So where's that picture? We're starting on our right front. So we're starting here on the edging. Work 1 single crochet into the second chain from the hook. What that means is we don't count the loop that's on our hook. There's number 1 and there's number 2. So going into that stitch with our hook, yarning over, pulling up a loop, we have 2 on our hook, yarning over, pulling through 2. Our next piece says, so we've done worked 1 single crochet in the second chain from hook, we've done that. The next one is 1 single crochet in the next 8 chains. So what we need to do is work 8 single crochets. That's 1 in the next one, 2, and I'm going to assume that we know how to do our basic stitches. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we just did 1 single crochet in the next 8 chains, and now it says 1 double crochet in each chain to the end. Now that's pretty basic, isn't it? So we just want to do 1 double crochet in each stitch until we get right to the end. So working into our next chain, yarning over, going into the chain, yarning over, pulling up a loop, yarning over, pulling through 2, yarning over, pulling through 2. There we go. Work that all the way to the end. So coming up to our last chain, we just want to work our double crochet into there. Going back to our pattern, we've done our 1 double crochet to the end, so we should have 9 single crochets, 31 double crochets equals 40 stitches. So that's what we've just done. So now we want to chain 3 and turn. And it says here the chain 3 is the first stitch of the next row and throughout the pattern. So every chain 3 will be counted as our first stitch of that row. So now we need to chain 3 and turn. I think we can do that, can't we? So that's 1, 2, 3, and turning our work. Row 2, where are we? Let's get this piece of paper here so we can read it easy, preferably with all the writing on it. So here we go, row 2, 1 double crochet in the next 30 double crochets, 1 single crochet in the next 9 single crochets, chain 1 and turn. So first of all, we want to do our 1 double crochet in the next 30 double crochets. Here we are here. So looking at our piece of work that we've got now, we've got this worm looking thing with a shorter bit or a skinnier part on the end. See how that's really thick there? And then it tapers out. This part here is going to be the collar to our baby jacket. So here's one I prepared earlier. I love saying that. And this part here, this thinner piece at the end here, is the top part of our collar. So it's up like that, and then this bit is the edge to one of our front pieces. Can't really see because it's the same colour. There we go. So what we're doing, we're actually working the jacket side to side. So instead of working around and around from the neck down, we're actually going backwards and forwards across the jacket. So our next row, we've done our chain 3, and up to row 2, 1 double crochet in the next 30. So going into the second stitch, so remember this counts as our first, and then our second one is here, but we're working into the back loops only. So going into the back loop, here's our back one, and that's our front one. So going under the back loop, and in every stitch we work into the back loop unless it's a chain stitch. So going into the back loop again and working that double crochet. And I really apologise for my voice, if you can tell. I do have a cold. Don't worry, you won't catch it. So we were just working our stitches across, making sure you get that just the back loop only. And we're working 30 double crochets. And throughout this pattern, you can count your stitches, but we only do double crochets into double crochets, right? So these are double crochets here. And we come along and we double crochet, blah, 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 blah. Then we come up to our singles, which is our collar. And when we come up to our singles, we want a single crochet into that single stitch. So what it does, let's just find the front of this one here, is it creates this beautiful ribbed effect. These are all double crochets, and you should be able to see where it changes. See how there's a sort of a line there? That's when it changes, and that's when it changes to our single stitches here. So this is all single stitch. You might be able to see it better like that. There's sort of a line there where they all finished. So these are all singles to make our collar, and these are all doubles to make the jacket part of our cardigan. So I'll just put it up like that. And you can almost see a line going there where I've stopped with the double crochet and we've changed to the single. So that's what makes this pattern good as well. You're doubling into your doubles and singling, is that even a word, into your single. So back to this, we're going back loops only with a double crochet for 30 stitches, or until we get to our last double crochet on the previous row. So looking at it, you'll look until we get to where the stitch changes. Single crochet there, and there's a double crochet there. So you're doubling up to here. If you can't see that, just count your stitches. So I'm up to where it changes to the single crochets. See, because there's a double crochet there, one on top of it, and then there's a single crochet. And in our pattern, this reads, sorry, it's just fallen on the ground, here we go. So up to row 2. So we've just done our 1 double crochet in our 30 stitches. So now we need to do 1 single crochet in the next 9 singles, chain 1 and turn. So looking at our pattern, at our crochet work, going into the back loops only, we're going to work single crochets. And it's a little bit fiddly to hold on at the moment, because it's so tiny. But as our work gets bigger, it's a lot easier to hang on to. So we're just working in the stitch there. But we're also working into our chain space. Or our chain 1 from our previous row. So now our pattern says chain 1 and turn. So chain 1 and turn your work around. So here we go. Part of our collar's forming here, and then this is the jacket part. So the collar's at the top, and then we've got the rest of the jacket there. So now we're on to row 3. And row 3 says 1 single crochet in the next 9 single crochets, 1 double crochet in the next 31 double crochets, chain 3 and turn. So let's do our 1 single crochet in the next 9 single crochets. So going into our work, going into the back loops only, working our 9 stitches. So there we go, we have our 9 stitches, and then it says 1 double crochet in the next 31 double crochets, chain 3 and turn. So let's do that. 1 double crochet in the next 31, and that means double crocheting all the way till we get to the end of our row. So going into our next stitch, into the back loops only with a double crochet, so that's yarning over, going into the back loop, yarning over, pulling up a loop, got 3, pull through 2 and pull through 2, and we just want to do that all the way to the end of the row. So we're at the end of our row, and we're going to work into the turning chain, working into the second chain, don't forget, just to make it a nice firm edge. Just going to adjust the camera, and now we're doing a chain 3 and we turn. There we go. Our ribbing pattern is starting to form here. So going back to our pattern, row 4, 1 double crochet in the next 30 double crochets, 1 single crochet in the next 9 singles, chain 1 and turn. So we want to start that 1 double crochet in the next 30 double crochets. So working into the back loops only, we want to work 30 double crochets. Or you'll start to realise that is where our stitches change, that will be your 30 stitches. So I'm just coming up to where our last double crochets are. Got 1 more to go, and you will get the hang of this pattern pretty quickly. It is very repetitive, great for a beginner. It's great for anybody really, but very good for a beginner because you get to learn how to read a pattern very quickly. So now we've done our 1 double crochet in our 30 double crochets, and the next part of our pattern says 1 single in the next 9 singles, chain 1 and turn. So that means these rest of these stitches must be single crochets and looking at them you can tell they're smaller than these ones, so you'll know that it's single crochets. Working in the back loops only. This whole project is worked in the back loops only, apart from when you're working into your chain. Gives it that awesome ribbed look. Gives the fabric some stretch to it as well. But I just think it looks good too. So that's just single crocheting all the way to the end. Chaining 1 and turning. Let's grab our pattern back over. And you're going to see a lot of the pattern because I want you to learn how to read it if you don't know how. So now we're on row 5. And 5 to 8, so the next 5, 6, 7, 8, next 4 rows, you're going to repeat row 3 and 4. So that was the last 2 rows that we did. You're going to repeat those twice. Do not break off your yarn. That is very important because you are going to need it for the next part. So row 5 to 8, repeat rows 3 and 4. So you're going to go back to row 3, work one of them, back to row 4, work one of them, and you want to do that twice. So then you're going to go to 3 and then 4. So does that make sense? So row 5 is going to be row 3, row 6 is going to be row 4, row 7 is going to be row 3, and row 8 is going to be row 4. Now that didn't sound like it made any sense at all, but it will once you do it. So I hope that makes sense. So the next part is row 1. 1 single crochet in the next 9 single crochets, 1 double in the next 7 doubles, and chain 19. And this is the beginning of the right sleeve, and we're going to have something that looks like that. I know it looks weird, but trust me, it will turn into a sleeve. So 1 single crochet in the next 9. I think we can do that. So working your way across in your single crochets. I don't even bother to count because I know that once I get to my double crochets that it's going to be right anyway. But count every now and again because you don't want to bugger up and have the wrong amount of stitches. If you're a beginner, I would suggest counting. But if you're not, you should be okay. So now, we've done our 9. 1 double crochet in the next 7 double crochets. So I think we can do that too. Here we go. Oops. Something's happened. I don't know. Here we go. We're still here. Working into the back loops only. Work 7 double crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now we want to chain 19 and then turn. So chaining 19. 1, 2, 3, and I think you know how to count to 19.